Hey everybody, welcome to In the Neighborhood on a Monday morning. Oh, we got the great Russ Broom, the wonderful Mandy Stobo, and the wonderful Jim Button, who in our, I don't know if you've ever, any of you watching have ever been in a Zoom meeting, but Jim is in the waiting room, and for some reason the door's locked and we can't get him in.
I don't think he brought his ID.
See, that's it. You need ID. You need ID to get into the room.
Is it true?
Pretty straightforward. Do you have any ideas? Well, you know, we do what we can. It's just, it's not the same without Jim. And I know I can hear him banging on the door. I can hear him saying, "Come on, guys. I brought a case of beer." Yeah.
We're just getting it back for all the pranks in the early days.
Yeah. I forgot about those pranks. Remember back when we were pranking?
Yeah.
Oh, what a time. I mean, we have a special guest to come on the top of the show, but I hate to do it if we can't get Jimmy in on the conversation. I think he doesn't. First of all, I think he went to school. He forgot his locker comm, so he didn't get his stuff. And then we'll go from there. I don't know. Did you have the locker combinations that went right to your lock, like the one right on the locker? Did you have a lock, Mandy?
No, I had a lock.
You did.
You had one that was like connected to the locker?
No, I always wanted one. I thought that was like, you see them in movies. I wanted those kind, but
yeah, that's cool. No, me neither. I had like the lame lock, and then Jack's now are like, they have words instead of numbers.
What?
You can do like, yeah, you can get locks that are just like the alphabet, and then you can make up your word. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when school closed, I was like, "Can I have your lock?" But
it didn't go for that.
No.
He said, "I need it. I'm up early every day at 2 p.m. I need it, obviously."
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
to do.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, Rob, if you want to bring Anila, well, no, Robbie, I'm just going to talk to our director here. Just let me know what you're thinking, Rob. What would you? He's sweating. Rob is definitely sweating, trying to pick the lock to get Jim in.
A lot of sweat.
Yeah.
His Zoom is actually fogging up a little bit. Now he's crying.
Jimmy, where's Jimmy? I wonder what he's clicking on. He's probably clicking on something. Anyway,
well,
Jim will get in.
Just learn, never leave the group.
Right? Right. Don't leave the party, because that's when all the fun stuff's happening. Well, exactly. We have a couple of great guests. If you're a parent and you're saying, "I need something to do with these kids of mine," well, that's just fine. We have some ideas for you. John lay down. We went for a walk this morning, and he lay down on the basketball court, didn't even shoot, and he just lay there and said, "I don't even want to go to school anymore. I hate school. I'm done." And then I get home, and Blythe looks at me and goes, "I'm done teaching these kids. I don't want to do this." So everything's going pretty well in the school department. But so we're going to do that. But before we did that, I wanted to bring, it's been a crazy weekend and a crazy few weeks. And I realized that, let's just have a bunch of us white folks talking about the problems of the world. It might make sense to listen a bit to someone else's perspective. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring Anila. Anila is a friend of ours, Anila, and she is the president and CEO of the Center for Newcomers, which is an agency in Calgary that helps people who are new to our city and especially new to the country to navigate how do bus routes work, and how do I get my resume in the language that's appropriate, and how do I find the right people to help me out. So they do great work, and she's an excellent person. So let's bring Anila in, and then we'll of course, now this is we couldn't get Jim in, so hopefully there she is. Hi, Anila.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're just thrilled that you could take a minute. Now, I know you're on holidays and you're in the middle of gardening, so you very kindly said you'd come on for just a few minutes so we could chat with you. So thanks for being here.
No problem. Happy to be here.
So I want to do this, and if Jim shows up anytime, Jim Button for some reason is locked in the waiting room. I don't know if you saw him there over by the bar. Oh, he's back. Jimmy's here. Hi, Jim. Woo.
Did Anila beat the coach? Is she the one that did it?
No, Anila beat you.
She's the one that does it every time. She's the best.
Thanks, Anila. I really knew I could count on you.
So Anila, this is what I was hoping
Jim's hops in my garden, just to let you know.
Oh,
right.
Cool.
I'm very excited about them. They're growing this year.
Good for you.
The hops are really pretty.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
Yeah.
And smell nice too.
I have no idea what hops even look like, but I wanted to be part of the conversation. Anila,
yes.
I wanted to, I mean, we could talk gardening, I know, all day, but I've been watching you on the internets, and I wanted partly, and I just realized I need to do a lot more listening than I'm doing talking. So I would love you had a perspective on kneeling, and our prime minister kneeling and police chiefs kneeling, that was one that I think I could use your insight on. So could you talk a little bit about your thoughts on it, and then we'll all join in?
Yeah, yesterday, actually two different people who I very much admire a lot, and, consider dear friends, had very specific Facebook posts early in the morning about, mixing, in my opinion, the politics of, not appreciating what a government is doing with the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And the fact that, for example, the Prime Minister has gone out and is kneeling with protesters, but isn't opening up Parliament. And for me, the issue is really two different things, right? Talk about, not opening Parliament and have an opinion on that and speak to that, but please keep anything related to systems of oppression outside of the political arena, right? Because for me, seeing our Prime Minister and also seeing our Calgary Police Services, and I actually know those police officers quite well, that kneeled instantaneously, I had an emotional response. I broke into tears, like I just started crying. And it's because when everything happened with the NFL with Colin Kaepernick, I was really saddened by how misinterpreted and how villainized Mr. Kaepernick was for kneeling in front of his flag. And so my comment that you saw, Dave, was really around the fact that everywhere else in the world, including Europe, but not in North America, kneeling is a sign of submission. Kneeling is a sign of respect, and also a sign of giving yourself up to a greater power, right? So if we go back to even European ancestry, right? Like we all watched the Camelots and the all those different kind of things. Knights kneel as a sign of respect. People kneel in church, right? So this is really something that is a universal thing that we do as humans, to really show our respect for something. There are some cultures in the world where when they worship God, they actually go all the way down, and they'll be like, they'll be flat, kind of like starfish on the ground, because they need to show just how low they are, right? And so in this instance, and I've thought about this for so long, for the last few years, especially how Mr. Kaepernick got, blacklisted, and what happened to him afterwards, and the misinterpretation, especially in North America. And I just found it very ethnocentric and very hurtful. because, you know, for me, and I can't put words into his own mouth in terms of his own motivations, and there's lots of, you know, interviews and things that you can watch on that. But for me, if I were to kneel in front of my Canadian flag, which I'm very proud of, you know, I'm very patriotic when it comes to that, and based on a protest for something, it's because I am kneeling and submitting to a greater power, the power of my country, the power of everybody that stands behind my country, the power of all of us to say, help me, because I can't do this on my own. Right? And I'm submitting to everybody's will. I am submitting to, I am not strong enough to do this on my own. And so I could stand up, I could rally the people, I could, you know, freak out and get, you know, lots of people together and protest and do all kinds of things. But the fact that I'm kneeling, the fact that I'm lowering my head to my flag and to the best anthem in the whole entire world, as far as I'm concerned, the Canadian anthem, right? As far, like for me, that I'm kneeling and that I'm bowing my head to that means that I'm saying I give up. It's not saying I'm fighting. It means I give up. Nothing's changing. I don't know how to change it. And see, I get really emotional because it's, can you all help me? Because I can't do it on my own. And I'm just feeling such despair. Like that's what I see when I see anyone kneeling. And that's how I feel. And that's how I feel every day when I say my prayers. I kneel, I sit down, I lower my head when I say my prayers. And I do that because I'm asking for a greater power. And in the instance of when it's in front of my flag and it's in front of my nation, I'm asking for the greater power of the community to help me.
Well, and I didn't think that, but then I read your post and I thought, well, you're right? If I was at home, there's no way you wouldn't bow your head. There's at prayer time. There's no way you wouldn't kneel down or genuflect going into church. And I thought, well, I guess that is what that is about, much more than me. Yeah. And it's easy to do, first of all, to misinterpret that, but then also to think because whatever, in this case, the prime minister is doing something, therefore he should be doing more governing. Those are separate is what your point was.
Things. And you know what? Yeah. This is why we're the greatest nation on earth. We should be holding our governments to account. Right. And we can do that without, you know, hopefully any repercussions to us. We have the freedom to say that, you know, we could say we hate the prime minister and we could burn effigies of him and nothing's going to happen to us. Right. Yeah. Which is wonderful because most places in the world, you can't do that, including the United States. So for us to be able to do that, absolutely. You want Parliament back in session? For sure. Talk as much as you need to do about that. But for me, it's around, please don't mix these two things. Because these are very separate things. And right now we need all of our leaders. You know, the other thing that's really been upsetting to me is we've got two ministers that happen to be Black men that are from two very different kind of political spectrum parties. One minister, Cadu, who's UCP in Alberta, the other one, Minister Hussein, who is a Liberal, you know, federally. And they're both being called out in very weird ways for their lived experience of being Black. And I don't think that, you know, I'm looking at all of us that are in this room right now. I don't think any of us, including myself, have a right to speak to their lived experience of Black men and how they feel. And I find it really interesting. And I wonder how much about politics it is when you've got a conservative minister being called out and you've got a Liberal minister being called out. How much about politics is this really? And how much about discrimination is this mostly?
Point.
Yeah. And you thought of all this while you were gardening?
I do my best thinking when I'm gardening.
If I've got some hops, I'll give you. Maybe you can start thinking too.
The chances of me thinking, Jim, very slim, very slim. I wanted to let Anila go, but is there, I don't want to do that without anyone else. If you want it, there you are. Look at her. If anyone else would have any thoughts you want to throw in, Russ, if you want, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's so important that you've characterized that gesture from Mr. Kopernik in the way you have, because I've always wondered why it was deemed so disrespectful and why the loudest voices that were commenting on it were so negative. And I appreciate you shedding that different light on it. I think it's extremely important. And thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank
you.
And Anila, you are fighting for so many always. You are definitely a hero in this fight. But for every single human that you helped in our great city, I know they can't thank you enough, and we certainly can't thank you enough. You are such a special, special woman, and we're just so lucky to know you.
Guys, that says today's hero. Goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's another bad portrait for your wall, babe.
Yeah, my other ones are in my living room.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
That's awesome. Jim, do you want to talk hops, or should we let Anila go?
I think we should let Anila get to the important work that she does.
Yeah.
And I concur with you, Mandy. Like, the stuff that you're doing with the Immigrant Society is, I've seen it. I've sat at the table many years in a row with you as part of our Best of Calgary, and sat with people that have had very challenging starts to their Canadian lives, coming from very different lives and different worlds. And I am so appreciative of understanding at a personal level. So thanks for bringing that to my attention, to the attention of anybody there who has a chance to participate in that. So bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey. All right, Anila, I know you've got serious gardening to get to, but thanks for talking. And again, I realize this is a longer conversation and a much bigger issue than we're going to solve in this conversation. However, it's great that we can hear your voice, and that I get to listen and learn. So thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless, and hope you have a very peaceful week ahead.
You
thank
have some
you.
good
You
gardening
too.
time now. Back to your holiday,
you.
Anila. Isn't that great? Thanks so much.
I love her.
That she's willing to say, I'm going to talk about you, Anila, so go away. That
Okay, I don't know how to go away. Am I supposed to just leave the conversation?
Just leave it. Yes.
All right, I'm doing that.
Have fun in the garden. Give a big hug. Bye.
That's awesome. We can't get Jim in. We can't get Anila out. Our doors are all jammed on this one. I can tell, aren't they?
They are.
We're all used to being at home. We're not used to this.
Yeah, it's
true. It's all weird.
All right. So if you're looking for things to do with young folks and you're like, okay, I got to get out there. Well, today's your lucky day. We have Karen and Jonathan with us. Jonathan Love. We all know Johnny Love from the Heebie-Jeebies. And you know Karen really well. Tell us a bit about Karen from what you know from Jube School, Mandy.
Karen is just this ball of light and fire. I love this woman so much. I've been doing Jube School, I think, for 2 or 3 years now, maybe 3 years. And Karen and I get to teach up in Edmonton and also Alberta. And she's always my go-to girl. And she just is so organized, so full of life. Just inspires the kids. The way that the kids rally around her is it's just infectious. So I'm really happy to have her on the show. It's exciting.
There we go. So here they come. Stand by. We're just going to kick the door a little bit.
There she is.
Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hello, I'm well.
It's so good to see you. And Jonathan, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having us.
To be here.
Great. So explain to me, with regulations and all, Jonathan, maybe you can set it up. Jube School is open. What does that mean? What can people do?
So Jube School is usually sort of either a 1, 2, or a 5-day program that we do with school groups coming into the Jubilee. And I was going to say, Dave, I have to report live from the Jubilee. Give me a quick second. Does that look okay?
No, you look totally normal. Yeah.
It kind of green screens your hair, but I don't think it's...
no, it looks good.
It's in and out. It's thinning. It's been a while. I'll just take you into the chamber. Anyway, so unfortunately, because schools have been at home, we haven't been able to have anybody in to work with our lighting, sound, and stage techs, and all of our wonderful resident artists that come in and get to work with these school groups, including the great Mandy Stobo, who's just absolutely fabulous to work with, and we love having her in both the Jubilee here in Calgary and in Edmonton. And it's just been a great program that Karen and the team has put together, and it teaches school groups to work through a big question. And I think right now, especially with all the COVID stuff going on, Black Lives Matters going on, there are a lot of big questions that youth have. And one of the best ways to explore what their answers are to it are through art. And you know what? I'm going to take this down just so that Dave stops giggling.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I know, it's pretty good, eh? Yeah.
Well, I thought we should get Karen to go a bit too, to say, let's start some stuff and then we can comment as we go. Karen.
Yeah, sounds good.
Explain your job at the Jube, Karen. I know normally you play.
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
That's way better, Jonathan. Yeah, it's totally great. So you normally sing on stage. You're an opera singer, Karen. Is that accurate? Did I get that right?
That is not accurate at all. But no, you don't want me up on that stage. I'm actually a stage manager by trade. So equity stage manager for 20 years, found my love for theater for young audiences, was able to come to the Jubilee Auditorium and create Jube School.
So this is So what are you doing? What are we gonna do here?
You want to see it?
Yeah.
So we play a lot with light at Jube School. So here are some lanterns that I'm just painting with watercolor. So we're going to hopefully string these together, put some fairy lights in.
Wait, that's watercolor?
That's watercolor.
Karen, it's so bright. It's beautiful. Look at you.
know. But I'm not using a palette. I'm actually using a concentrated.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
That's a potion.
I can't wait to come play with you.
Right? The vibrancy you get. I have some, I'm going to see without tipping anything what happens.
Right. Oh, it's kind of,
Can we see those? Yeah. So we have 3. 2 of these were made with just regular watercolor palette, and then the one on top with the liquid watercolor. But we string lights through them. And so it creates a really playful, energetic atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to create and see what happens.
Okay, well, why don't you get to creating? I want to read this list that Jonathan sent me, or you both did. At jubeschool.com, you can find out about camp sessions, including landscape painting, special effects makeup, magic, ukulele, puppet building, Broadway choreography, auditions, family yoga, Alberta ballet dancing, stand-up comedy, voiceover, and comic drawing. Seriously, Jonathan, you got all that?
Yeah. We've got 3 weeks worth of sessions, Dave, and it's just, I mean, you're touching on what you could get through in a breath. But I mean, Mandy Stobo is going to be teaching all of them, to tell you the truth. If we had our way, actually, Mandy's going to be doing an incredible landscape one. You're doing a landscape one for us, and I think that's going to be a great one, because we actually did these Jube School live things as everything sort of closed down. We said, hey, let's go online, much like in the neighborhood, and see what we could do to bring arts and crafts projects and spread some joy to everybody at home. And so Mandy was our first, and we had a bad portrait session, and it was phenomenal. So we've sort of followed up with 2 or 3 after that, and we've got a few more coming. We've got one tomorrow. We've got Brendan Boyd, who's going to be doing some puppet making.
And so, he is the greatest.
He really is.
He's my helper in Calgary, and he's the greatest guy. He's so talented, and his puppets are like, I just love him so much.
You know what? And I just finished watching the Sesame Street episode on racism. His wonderful puppets could be on Sesame Street. Yeah. He's that good. So it's kind of neat. So what we thought, Dave, is we really wanted to, at a time where a lot of artists, and I'm looking around this room, we lose a lot of gigs when stuff like this happens, when the world shuts down a little bit. And we thought, how can we elevate these artists, make sure that their impact stays strong in our community in a way that really helps educate and give parents and teachers something that they can use as arts and crafts challenges, or a way that kids can express themselves at this time. And we thought, summer camp wise, we wanted to launch this so that everyone, like summer camp, just comes into camp, and we all get to hang out, and at the end of the day we do s'mores on the campfire and all that. But this wasn't the time that everyone would feel safe with that. So we kind of put the safety first and thought, how can we pivot this whole thing to make it an experience that's a choose your own experience, choose your own adventure, that you can either take an hour of landscape painting, or you can sign up for a full week of all of those things and more, Dave.
Isn't that great? And this is for and all of it is all, and just because I want to, I was going to say I'm going to ask for a friend, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. So it's all online. Is there anything down at the Jube, or it's all online?
It's all online. We chose to do that just because, we just don't know how it's all going to come about right now.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we're prepared for our comeback season. With the Jubilee Auditorium, I mean, we've got 2,500 seats.
Right.
We're not going to be the first venue to open up safely. So we're a little further down the runway. So we just thought, hey, if we want to make sure that we're supporting arts in this community and artists in this community and getting this out to everybody, that this is the right way to go.
So great.
And kids, like if I could jump in,
kids.
Dave, for 1 sec, the transformation from Monday to Friday that these kids go through, Karen has them going through puppetry and lighting and sound and storytelling and then painting, and we talk about our self-worth and who we are and who we want to be throughout that whole work while doing these tactile things. And to see them from the first day to the Friday and the transformation they've had within themselves is just, it's so beautiful. And they're reaching schools in every quadrant in Calgary, and they're changing the lives of so many kids. So it's just incredible what you guys have done.
Well, thanks, Mandy. And I will say, and we've known each other for quite some time now, and to see you in that context, changing these kids' lives and changing the scope of how they think is really spectacular. And being able to bring that up to Edmonton and work with some of our Northern Alberta people as well. I mean, you're an absolute gem. And I know that everybody here knows that, but it's, there's a reason your name comes first when we start listing everything.
Thank you.
But what I will say is, summer camp is sort of a special time, right? Yeah. And I know that it's a difficult summer for summer camp, especially as a parent. My kids usually go to their camps and they come back with new friends and that type of thing. So we're trying to create a different experience, and one that could be a bit of a family experience too. I don't know. I mean, Dave, Mandy, you've got Russ, you've got kids that are all doing stuff online right now. It's a different way of learning. But you as the parent kind of need to be involved depending on the age of your kid. So we've actually got a lot of these programs that are very family friendly. So you could watercolor paint with your kids. You can make sock puppets out of gym socks with your kids. Any of these types of things that are family oriented. And the nice thing for us is we've signed on with a few wonderful partners, including people like Parenting Power. See, I can't talk over the puppet reveal.
No, you better not.
So I can't talk over the puppet reveal. Karen, tell us who this is.
Well, this is Janet. We have an artist, Brendan Boyd, coming into summer camp.
Yeah.
He is creating kits for all the participants.
So you can
he will work with them to make puppets, just like this.
You know that Mandy Stobo is an expert at puppet voices? I don't know if you knew that.
Here, Mandy, let's try to
He's a ventriloquist. Incredible.
Go ahead, Mandy.
Hello, and welcome to the Broom School. I can't wait to meet more of my friends tomorrow with Brendan Boyd at JubeSchool.com at 2 p.m., I believe, yes?
Nicely done.
Well done. Yeah.
And also don't forget at Jube School, Jim Button is doing a bodybuilding course. So if anybody would like to get on that.
There's something for everyone.
Jim is supplying Speedos for the group, so it's gonna be a great program.
And some things are for no one.
You know, I was just going to say, is that helping or hindering the program, Dave?
Yeah. Remember, you can't unsee things. You know. No disrespect to
Thanks for sticking up for me, Russ. I appreciate that.
There you are, Jimmy. I was just going to say, I think we could probably paint over things with watercolor.
You got to use the concentrated stuff.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Green screen where the muscles should be.
Yeah, strategically placed gym socks. You know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Karen, can you tell me how you made the lantern in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. Here. So IKEA
perfect.
or the dollar store, like super easy.
Awesome.
So they're pre-made. These ones.
Amazing.
Yeah, you put some wire into them, and then you just pick up some fairy lights.
Amazing.
So the neat thing is we've put together kits for each of the programs that require it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something that we've partnered with a few different shops and stuff and providers, because, you know, there's different magic kits, there's different makeup kits. You know, we're doing gore makeup, which will be good, so everyone will be able to look like zombies or have, you know, head wounds. Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll be great. But the kits will all be available as you sign up. Sort of 2 weeks before, we'll find a way to either have a safe curbside pickup at either the two Jubes, or we'll be able to send that out to everybody who's interested. But you'll have all that you need to be able to accomplish whatever our artist teachers are taking you through.
So fun. So
awesome.
great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Karen, anybody that Mandy gets this excited about being near is a good thing. So I'm telling you, you got that vote right there. So, and
thank you.
He also does puppet voices.
What could be better? We're a team. We're a team, Miss Mandy.
We sure are.
Deadly. Deadly.
That looks so good, sweetie. Thanks. I can't wait.
This is, I feel like this is a great, this show is such a perfect example of our world where sometimes you got to talk about serious things, and sometimes you got to talk about fun things, and sometimes you got to talk about what the heck am I supposed to do with my kids because I'm about to lose it. So,
well, and I think you're great, Dave, because, you know, with Anila, and she was just wonderful, by the way. And with what we're trying to do with Jube Camp, it's all about bringing people together.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to express ourselves and how to work together and make sure that it's all great. And I think that a lot of the arts provide us with a lot of opportunities to express those feelings and thoughts in a way that, you know, a lot of other things don't.
Well, I feel like as our final thought on the show, Jim had to spend a lot of time out in the snow trying to get into the room here earlier.
Jim, I feel so bad we lost you for a bit.
But Jim is our, I always go to him as our moral compass. So Jim, just give us, what are your final thoughts? It can be about food, it can be about hops, it can be about anything you want, but to help finish off our show, what's on your mind, Jimmy?
Well, I've been doing a lot of what I think most people should be doing right now. Is listening. I think I sent a nice note out to my buddy Gary, who watches the show from Toronto quite often. Yeah,
Hi, Gary.
I gave him the birthday gun the other day, and I just think that reaching out. There was I saw I listened to something on CBC, and it was a gentleman that was heading up a black coalition of some sort out of Toronto. And he said he got a note from his high school coach. And the high school coach asked the question. He said, I just want to know, did I ever do anything that you found offensive? Was I ever, because he was just trying to find out where he fit. And the interesting part was that he didn't say anything. The gentleman that was black said, no. The interesting thing is the one person that sent me the note was the one person that didn't ever make me feel bad for being black. And he was, he said, but I could think of every other teacher, 5 instances easily. And those little indiscretions, those little things that we don't understand, that I think we need to start listening and understanding and being open to understanding a little bit better. So that's the advice I've been taking. I asked Gary myself, like I said before. I asked Gary if I had ever done that, and he said that I hadn't, which made me feel good. But I know that that's not true, and I know I could have been better growing up as well. So I think let's all take responsibility. Let's all take steps to listen and understand what's going on with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, because it's important and it's real and it's due time.
Yeah, that's so great.
Absolutely.
How are we going to turn this into a dance, Jim?
I think if John leads us in a dance, because he's got that beautiful whiteboard.
Yeah.
What do I have?
I think we got it.
No, I don't have a whiteboard. Here, just a second. I do have a lightsaber.
Of course you do.
It's not a whiteboard, but I've got that just in case.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, Jonathan is going to lead us in the lightsaber while Russ Broom plays a bit of a theme. Feel free to do your solo in the middle of it, but lightsaber this time. Have a great week, everyone. Have a great day.
Dad's on this, guys.
Thanks for having us. I love you guys.
What a day. Thanks, Anila. I know you're gardening, but thank you. And thank you guys very much. Thanks, Karen and John.